History of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. While traveling and researching in Cairo in 1896, German scholar Dr. Karl Reinhardt acquired a papyrus containing Coptic texts entitled The Revelation of John, The Wisdom of Jesus Christ, and the Gospel of Mary. Before setting about to translate his exciting find, 2 world wars ensued, delaying publication until 1955. By then, the Nag Hammadi collection had also been discovered. 2 of the texts in his codex, The Revelation of John and The Wisdom of Jesus Christ, were included there. Importantly, the codex preserves the most complete surviving copy of the Gospel of Mary, named for its supposed author, Mary of Magdala. 2 other fragments of the Gospel of Mary, written in Greek, were later unearthed in archaeological digs at Oxyrhynchus in northern Egypt. All of the various fragments were brought together to form the translation presented here. However, even with all of the fragments assembled, the manuscript of the Gospel of Mary is missing pages 1 to 6 and pages 11 to 14. These pages include sections of the text up to chapter 4 and portions of chapter 5 to 8. Although the text of the Gospel of Mary is incomplete, the text presented below serves to shake the very concept of our assumptions of early Christianity, as well as Christ's possible relationship to Mary of Magdala, whom we call Mary Magdalene. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Pages 1 to 6 containing chapters 1 through 3 could not be recovered. The text starts on page 7, chapter 4. Chapter 4. And they asked Jesus, "Will matter then be destroyed or not?" The Savior said, "All nature, all things formed, and all creatures exist in and within one another, and they will be dissolved again into their own elements, origins. This is because it is the nature of matter to return to its original elements. If you have an ear to hear, listen to this." Peter said to him, "Since you have explained all things to us, tell us this also. What sin did the world commit? What sin is in the world?" The Savior said, "There is no sin of the world. Each person makes his own sin when he does things like adultery, in the same nature as adultery. This is called sin. That is why the good came to be among you. He came to restore every nature to its basic root." Then he continued, "You become sick and die because you do not have access to He who can heal you. If you have any sense, you must understand this. The material world produced a great passion, desire, suffering, without equal. This was contrary to the natural balance. The entire body was disturbed by it. That is why I said to you, be encouraged, and if you are discouraged, be encouraged when you see the different forms nature has taken. He who has ears to hear, let him hear." When the Blessed One had said this, he greeted all of them and said, "Peace be with you. Take my peace into you. Beware that no one deceives you by saying, 'Look here,' or 'Look there.' The Son of Man is within you. Follow him there. Those who seek him will find him. Go now and preach the gospel of the kingdom. Do not lay down any rules beyond what I appointed you, and do not give a law like the lawgivers, Pharisee, or you will be held to account for the same laws. When he said this, he departed. Chapter 5. Then they were troubled and wept out loud, saying, How shall we go to the Gentiles and preach the gospel of the kingdom of the Son of Man? If they did not spare him, how can we expect that they will spare us? Then Mary stood up, greeted them all, and said to her fellow believers, Do not weep, and do not be troubled, and do not waver, because his grace will be with you completely, and it will protect you. Instead, let us praise his greatness, because he has prepared us and made us into mature, finished, complete people. Mary's words turned their hearts to the good, and they began to discuss the words of the Savior. Peter said to Mary, Sister, we know that the Savior loved you more than all other women. Tell us the words of the Savior that you remember and know, but we have not heard and do not know. Mary answered him and said, I will tell you what he hid from you. And she began to speak these words to them. She said, I saw the Lord in a vision, and I said to him, Lord, I saw you today in a vision. He answered and said to me, You will be happy that you did not waver at the sight of me. Where the mind is, there is the treasure. I said to him, Lord, does one see visions through the soul or through the spirit? The Savior answered and said, He sees visions through neither the soul nor the spirit. It is through the mind that is between the two. That is what sees the vision, and it is. There the vision exists. Pages 11 through 14 are missing. Text begins again at chapter 8. Chapter 8. And Desire, a lesser god, said, Before I did not see you descending, but now I see you ascending. Why do you lie, since you belong to me? The soul answered and said, I saw you, but you did not see me, nor recognize me. I covered you like a garment, and you did not know me. When it said this, the soul went away greatly rejoicing. Again it came to the third power, lesser god, which is called ignorance. The power questioned the soul, saying, Where are you going? You are enslaved, captured, in wickedness. Since you are its captive, you cannot judge. Have no judgment. And the soul said, Why do you judge me when I have not judged? I was captured, although I have not captured anyone. I was not recognized, but I have recognized that God, the All, is in, being dissolved, both the earthly things and in the heavenly things. When the soul had overcome the third power, it ascended and saw the fourth power, which took 7 forms. The first form is darkness, the second, desire, the third, ignorance, the fourth is the lust of death, the fifth is the dominion of the flesh, the sixth is the empty, useless wisdom of flesh, the seventh is the wisdom of vengeance and anger. These are the 7 powers of wrath. They asked the soul, Where do you come from, slayer of men? Where are you going, conqueror of space? The soul answered and said, What has trapped me has been slain, and what kept me caged has been overcome. My desire has been ended, and ignorance has died. In an age, dispensation, I was released from the world in a symbolic image, and I was released from the chains of oblivion, which were only temporary in this transient world. From this time on will I attain the rest of the ages and seasons of silence. Chapter 9. When Mary had said this, she fell silent, since she had shared all the Savior had told her. But Andrew said to the other believers, "Say what you want about what she has said, but I do not believe that the Savior said this. These teachings are very strange ideas." Peter answered him and spoke concerning these things. He questioned them about the Savior and asked, "Did he really speak privately with a woman and not openly to us? Are we to turn around and all listen to her? Did he prefer her to us?" Then Mary sobbed and said to Peter, "My brother Peter, what do you think? Do you think that I have made all of this up in my heart by myself? Do you think that I am lying about the Savior?" Levi said to Peter, "Peter, you have always had a hot temper. Now I see you fighting against this woman like she was your enemy. If the Savior made her worthy, who are you to reject her? What do you think you were doing? Surely the Savior knows her well. That is why he loved her more than us. Let us be ashamed of this, and let us put on the perfect man. Let us separate from each other as he commanded us to do, so we can preach the gospel, not laying down any other rule or other law beyond what the Savior told us." And when they heard this, they began to go out and proclaim and preach,